767 is on the runway. It's about to take off from Montreal for Edmonton, Alberta. For the crew of Air Canada Flight 143, it's a routine flight, one they've flown many times before. But this time, no one on board knows they've only enough fuel to reach halfway. Captain Bob Pearson and First Officer Maurice Quintel believe they have 22,000 kilograms of fuel, when in reality they have only 22,000 pounds. A miscalculation with the fuel while converting volume into weight has gone unnoticed. Compounded by out-of-service fuel gauges, catastrophic failure of the engines is now inevitable. They are about to run dry. The left engine dies first.
What was that? How come I have no instruments?
It's exactly what Pearson had feared. He's lost both engines. At 26,500 feet, still 75 miles from the nearest major airport, he's out of fuel.
Winnipeg, Air Canada 143.
Air Canada 143, go ahead.
Just lost both engines.
143 just lost their engines. It's highly unlikely that anybody's going to survive this.
An airplane's engines not only provide thrust, they also generate the power needed to manipulate the plane. It would be completely uncontrollable, but modern airliners are like a Swiss Army knife with one last blade hidden away. In the event of a loss of power, they automatically deploy the RAT, or Ram Air Turbine. The time is running out. He needs directions to the closest landing strip.
143, this is a Mayday, and
We require a vector on to the closest available runway.
143, we copy that all okay.
But the loss of the plane's engines has had an unexpected consequence at air traffic control.
They're gone. They were right here. We've lost him, he's dropped off the screen. I need primary radar.
Now, 143, we've lost your transponder return and are attempting to pick up your target now.
But Quintel doesn't have the instruments which provide the information he needs to make that calculation. Since he lost the plane's signal, Hewitt can't give Quintel that information either. Controllers hurriedly work to rig up a way to find the plane.
Just before landing, you will hear the command, brace for landing. Brace immediately and stay braced until the plane comes to a complete stop. There are two ways to brace. One, bend forward. Raise your arms and hands against the seat back.
Bryce Bell is a businessman on his way home to Edmonton.
Two.
As soon as they announced that we were making an unscheduled stop in Winnipeg.
I think that's him. Let's say that's him.
Because their modern equipment can't see Air Canada 143, the controllers switch to old-fashioned radar, which doesn't need a transponder to locate planes.
And we don't use it at all if we can help it. Okay, I got it. 65 from Winnipeg, 45 from Gimli. 143.
We have you at 65 miles from Winnipeg and approximately 45 miles from Gimli.
For the first time since losing power, the pilots know their distance to Winnipeg.
we might make Winnipeg.
Quintel, however, thinks that Gimli is a safer bet. Gimli, Manitoba has a decommissioned Air Force base. It's about 20 miles closer than Winnipeg. As luck would have it, Maurice Quintel trained at Gimli while in the armed forces. He knows it well.
45 miles to Gimli. That is a long runway.
Is there emergency equipment at Gimli?
Negative emergency equipment at all. Just one runway available, I believe.
And no control tower and no information on it.
Pearson must consider the possibility of a crash landing. If he has any chance of making it to Winnipeg, which has full emergency support, he knows he must try for it.
Okay, then we would prefer Winnipeg.
Fine. 143, continue your present heading.
Okay, and how far from the field are we now?
You're 35, correction, make that 39 miles from Winnipeg.
Roger.
Now that controllers can see Flight 143 on radar, they can provide Quintel with the information he needs to figure out if he can glide as far as Winnipeg.
Roger, what is your altitude now?
8.5.
8.5.
About 8,500 feet above the ground, Captain Pearson can see his destination. Winnipeg's airport is less than 35 miles away.
We're visual.
But the news from Quintel is not good.
Bob.
Chorus was, we might not make the runway in Winnipeg.
We can last maybe another 20 miles. We're not going to make Winnipeg.
Quintel has calculated that at the rate they're falling, they would hit the ground a full 15 miles short of the runway.
How far are we from Gimli?
You're approximately 12 miles from Gimli right now.
Where is it?
Which way is he moving? On your right. Turn right to a heading of 345.
I would say you have 10 miles to fly.
Okay, fine. We're gonna go there.
It's no good. They're still too high and too fast. I guess I'll have to slip it. Captain Pearson now employs an old glider pilot's trick, referred to as side slipping. He banks the plane fully left while stepping hard on the right rudder pedal. This is called crossing the controls. It turns the plane slightly sideways against the direction of travel, offering greater air resistance and slowing the plane down. However alarming this may have seemed to all on board, he knows it's their only hope of getting down in one piece. Captain Pearson has never been so focused. He holds on for dear life, waiting for that sickening crunch. As his plane skids down the runway, Captain Pearson realizes he still has work to do. He pushes hard on his differential brakes in an effort to steer the plane away from two boys straight in front of him. At last, he wrestles the metal giant to a halt. With no fuel, no flaps, damaged landing gear, and no emergency equipment, it was only the decisive actions and the superb skill of the flight crew of Air Canada 143 that turned a potential tragedy into a triumph. Thankfully, everyone was able to walk away from Air Canada Flight 143. And many things have happened to them since then. But they can be sure that they'll never forget the day they flew the Gimli glider.